Alright, recently my friend Hannah asked me what what I would recommend for a piercing shop to get some work done. And she asked me between GoodFellas, and I told her just go to Needful Things in downtown. Because, based on personal experiences, I can say that Needful Things was more cooperative and much friendlier and more sanitary. Also, I was I said it the other time too. But my little sister just told me as well that they also have their APP license and they're approved, which means they meet regulations to standards they're meant to hold if they're doing a piercing shop. And I've been pierced at both places. I got my tragus right here and two up here done at GoodFellas. And my little sister and I went there. We had our forms for consent from our parents and everything done. We had all the paperwork filled out. And I went in for 3 piercings. My little sister went in for her first 2 ear piercings besides her lobe. And when we got there, our piercer had a bad attitude. He was very uncooperative. He was eating a sandwich when we walked in, and he did not bother to wash his hands. He just put on gloves. And he was very rough with how he handled our piercings. He clipped on the studs very roughly. We would ask him what he would recommend for healing, since this is technically the first piercing shop we were pierced at, besides, and I wouldn't consider Claire's or Walmart something like a piercing shop, because that's where I had gotten my first ear piercings, and I regret that completely. But I digress, and so we were asking, trying to learn from our mistakes, and so on and so forth. And he would just stay quiet. We would ask him about which bars he would recommend for healing, and he would be like, doesn't matter. Makes no difference. They're going to heal anyways. And I'm like, okay. He did not bother to tell us. And I didn't mind it that much. But I know for some people, it's a big deal. Where your piercer will tell you, take a deep breath. And then breathe in. And then they'll pierce you. And then they'll say breathe out to calm your nerves and get your endorphins kicking in. He did not bother with that. He just said, you're going to feel a pinch. And he pierced us. And I thought that was very unprofessional of him to just want to get it over with so he can go back to eating his nasty ass looking sandwich. Like, really? So, a few months later, not a few months later, I went to, what the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, a few months later, I went to Needful Things with my little sister and I got my septum pierced. That would be my first facial piercing. And, the manager there, the main guy, Robert, he was very professional. Everything was sanitary. He was very nice. He gave us a warning and told us to breathe in, breathe out when we're getting pierced. And he would tell me what to expect. He recommended certain things. He took his time finding my septum sweet spot. And he didn't rush. We were there at least like 10 or 15 minutes before I actually got my piercing to get everything sorted out. And he even fixed my little sister's jewelry for her ear and put in proper barbells so they could heal properly, because they had been giving her trouble because of GoodFellas. And yeah, and we asked them about, we told them about how we went to, GoodFellas, and he was telling us how he never should have put in studs for us because it's bad for healing, collects gunk and everything. And I told him about how my tragus was giving me trouble, even though it had been like a year and a half later, and it was still very sore, and I got discomfort from it. And he said that was unusual, and it was probably from, improper piercing from it. So overall, I would just say, because I've had better experiences at, Needful Things, and everyone there is very polite, and they're very professional about it, and sanitary. That's the big one, is sanitation. They even give you little pamphlets. I don't know if I have it in my sketchbook somewhere. They give you little pamphlets when you get your piercings, regardless of how many times you've been there. I have 2 from when I went and got my navel done. And they give you information about the healing, what to expect, what to do, what not to do. And they give you healing time and jewelry changing time. And I don't know if I have it. And I even went in there a few weeks ago to talk to a woman there with my girlfriend. about getting my labret done and my bridge done in a few months. And she was very nice, and she wasn't, the usual person I talked to, which was the manager, where he pierced me each time. And she was very nice. She told me about how long it would take to stretch, how long after I should wait, and she didn't give me a bad attitude, and she didn't treat me like I was stupid just for verifying, this is what I want. She was very nice, and she just pointed me in the right direction and told me what to do and what to expect, what chances were for my bridge getting rejected, and so on and so forth. And I thought that was incredibly nice of her and very professional way to deal with it. And also what I was asked is how much a nipple piercing would hurt. More or less one or both. And I can honestly tell you that there is no definite answer for how much a piercing would hurt. Some people it's a slight pinch, but overall from what I've heard about nipple piercings, because I do not have them, is that they are typically a high tolerance, like a high-end pain piercing, because of their sensitivity and this bundle of nerves they have. For women, the nerves are supposed to be higher than men, but that's not always true. And honestly, it really just depends on your pain threshold. Because I went in for my septum expecting it to hurt like a hell, but it was just a slight pinch, and my eyes got glassy and I was about it. And I've known people that say the belly button piercings did not hurt at all. And those two were my worst and most painful piercings. They're still healing, and it's been like 7 months, and they still are very uncomfortable half the time. So it really just varies. Like, people told me my belly button shouldn't have hurt, but it does. And it's not whether it should or it shouldn't, when it gets pierced. It's just really on you as an individual and how your body is wired. So if you really dedicated to getting a piercing or a tattoo or a scarification or whatever done, you cannot really focus too much on the pain. I know everyone's curious as to how much it will hurt, to prepare themselves to know if they really want this piercing, to go through the pain for it. And honestly, you're gonna have to suck it up regardless. If you really want your nipples pierced, you're gonna have to just bite your tongue and go through with it, because it will hurt, regardless of your pain perception and everything. It will hurt. It's a piercing, something going through your skin, and there will be jewelry in there. It will hurt, and it will be uncomfortable for a while. You might feel it tingling, your skin might be irritated and sore, your skin will crust, and it will be a very long-term piercing to heal. It takes a year, and sometimes even more. And you're just going to have to be patient. You're going to have to do everything you can to keep that piercing, healthy and happy. You're going to have to clean it regularly. You're going to have to make sure you don't snag. So really, your biggest concern shouldn't be how much it hurts when you're getting it. It's how carefully you're going to have to handle it, because it is such a, touchy piercing. And they snag easily. So just expect this to be a moderate level of pain. It ranges, for men, it ranges from a 6 to a 10. For women, it's usually a 7 to 10 on the pain scale out of 10. So it's not something like getting your ear pierced. It is not a simple pain. It is a much more intense pain for most people. And you're just going to have to deal with that, quite frankly. And if you do go to a Needful thing, this is for a local place, and I know, you're local, so they charge about $50 per piercing. That's including jewelry, and another $10 for the solution that they recommend to heal with. And if you do not want to use their solution, or you'd rather save your bucks for it, you can go and buy sea salt and unionized sea salt, and you heat up warm water, mix a bit of it, like a tablespoon or two, 1/4 cup, and no, 1/4 cup of water, and then 1/4 teaspoon, and you mix around, warm it up, wait till it's lukewarm before you soak your piercing in it for about 15 minutes, and you'll have to do that regularly. So some people just find it easier for the spray than anything. So it really just depends on you, and really just expect discomfort regardless of what your modification is. they can be as simple as a lobe piercing. You can still expect the worst from them. Just do not expect it to be a one-day process like most people at school and high school. They expect it to get pierced or get tattooed, and then they disregard the lotion for your tattoos. They disregard cleaning and they neglect their piercings. They get them snagged and cut, and so on and so forth. Just be aware that this is part of your body now, and you have to take care of it like you would the rest of your body, even with more care. These will get ripped off if you are not careful. These will get infected. They can get removed, and while they're healing, they can get swallowed up by the skin around your piercing. You have to be careful, and you have to know what you're doing. So, if you want more information, you just easily pull up Google. It is not as difficult as people make it seem, especially in the generation of technology. You have Google, you open up, nipple piercings, healing time, what's expected, or whatever you want to know. It's the same thing with stretching your lobes or stretching any part of you. I've been doing research for my labret, and, don't be stupid about this. If you want something done to your body, you should go out of your way to make it done properly and as clean as you can. And otherwise, just be tender and don't expect the worst, but don't neglect it half the time. You'll end up regretting it. Because I can say I have for some of them, but I'm glad I've been able to fix them. Alright, so that answers that, and thank you for asking, Hannah.